starts with breaking news.
All right, to breaking news right now. One person's in the hospital after an early morning crash. Officers were called to 96 and L at 5:45 this morning. Just minutes ago, 2 cars were towed away from the scene. We'll update you on the situation on air and online as we learn more information. Thanks for joining us here on First Alert 2 Streaming. I'm Cerise Cole, meteorologist Jared Lancer, Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lloyd. We want to go back to that crash right now and how it's impacting the commute.
Yeah, we've been watching this develop over the last hour or so and how it's been impacting things. Westbound L has been completely blocked for a little while as a result of this crash. So let's take a look at the situation. You saw there the tow truck that's on the scene. So I do expect we see this clear up pretty soon, but for the time being, you are still looking at slow travel that is happening as you're going westbound. You've got some slowdowns as you're going in both directions on 96th approaching this intersection. So if you're looking to avoid that whole situation, you just don't want to deal with it at all, you can use I-80. That's moving along without too much in the way of difficulty. You can use Q as well. That's also moving pretty smoothly at this point. Again, I don't expect we see this last too much longer here on L, but it is still running slow at this point. We'll keep you posted with any developments as far as that is concerned. Give you the wide view of how things are moving on the rest of our roads, and you can see it's just a little bit slow there as you're going westbound on Bennington there to the west of 680 before you get to Blair High, and then otherwise just a couple of minor delays. This one that you're seeing here on L, that's further to the west. That's actually some construction that's started up with some areas impacted between 50th and 70th. So that's another part of L that's having some difficulty. It's another reason you might want to use I-80 or Q this morning as your alternate route. But a lot of the rest of our roads don't have too much in the way of issues. So again, we'll keep you posted. We'll give you that first alert when we do see that crash that has been a problem clear out, and hopefully we can have a smoother commute than the last few mornings, because
it's been rough.
It's been a mess, and no one wants to deal with that. So.
No, absolutely not. Well, whether we want to or not, we're dealing with some heat this week.
Yeah, weather's not going to impact what you're doing over there with traffic,
That's true.
thankfully, this morning. But it's all about the air conditioners on in the cars. Take a little of that moisture out of the air this morning and then help out with the heat later on this afternoon. So let's talk about it here. As we got another colorful sunrise, still some smoke on the horizon as you look to the east, and that's giving us the oranges and the reds in your morning sun, but overall not a big issue. That should thin out over the next couple of days, and it's not even all that bad to begin with. 65 degrees, southeast wind at 5 miles per hour, so that's going to be fairly light again today before becoming more noteworthy the next couple of days. Latest visibility map showing there's been a little bit of light fog in some areas. You get in some valleys that you might have a little bit of that to drive through. Just a heads up, overall, it doesn't look like anything that's going to cause that big of a problem for you on your way into work and school today. Low and mid 60s. That's what you get this morning. Just a shade warmer than yesterday, and everything about today will be just a little bit warmer than yesterday. Got some 50s on the Iowa side, and that's where the cooler Luss Hills have been setting up shop with that cooler air. High clouds moving in from the west. You can see a little bit of shower activity farther west as well. Probably won't be a big deal for us today other than some high clouds. The muggy meter today, yeah, where it's at now, it goes up a little bit. So it's going to be humid to go along with the temperatures I'm about to show you. First alert to, again, models picking up on that patchy fog. That's the clouds you see here. Obviously overdone a little bit, but you could counter a little bit of it as you head out. By noon, we're into the low 80s. Later on this afternoon, I think we can top out about 87, 88 degrees for that high. And it's mid and upper 80s for all of us today as we heat up. This will be the hottest day so far of the month, and we can say that about Friday. We can say that about Saturday, the way the forecast is looking. Tonight, pretty quiet. Not much in the way of cloud cover until after midnight. Some high clouds move in and maybe even some thicker low clouds. Those lower clouds have the potential to produce a spotty shower, maybe a thunder shower heading into the early morning hours of Friday. So overall, most of us probably stay dry, but could have a couple of thunder showers overnight tonight into tomorrow morning that try to pop up. Few and far between. Don't worry about it too much. Just got to keep a small chance in there so you're not caught off guard. 92 on Friday, 94 on Saturday. And it looks like Saturday is going to be the peak of that heat with this round anyway, as we got a couple of 90s on the way. And probably several days to get close to it.
Yeah, so how hot will that Husker game be inside Memorial Stadium?
Well, overall, the forecast for that one keeps persisting. A lot of 80s. We're going to likely start off in the 80s for that one. The best time of the whole day will probably be while you're tailgating in the morning for that one. with low 80s turning into upper 80s by halftime, and by the end of the game, probably low 90s. And it'll keep heating up from there as you head to your car, the walk to the car, and then eventually driving home, still using the air conditioning. Hot and humid, southwest winds up to 30 miles per hour. At least they'll try to keep that air moving. Muggy meter stays in that muggy range all day as well, all the way through the weekend, all the way into probably the middle portion of next week before anything tries to get a little bit better. 94 for the high Saturday, still sneaking close to 90 on Sunday with now increased chances of some storms. I'm looking late afternoon into the evening for those, and 88 on Monday. Even Monday and Tuesday starting to trend a little bit warmer too. So we're probably middle of next week before we can get anything that gets closer to average. Okay. But by then our averages are in the 70s. So we got a lot of 80s on the way, a couple of 90s. I'll have more on that storm chance for Sunday. Okay. I can dive into a few more details of that here in a bit.
All right, we'll see you then, Rusty. Thank you. Well, a high school staff member is recovering this morning after a student pulled a knife at Omaha Northwest High School. In a letter to parents, the principal said the staff member received immediate care from the school nurse. It is not clear how serious the injuries are. The principal says the district will take appropriate disciplinary action for the student involved. Now to some scary moments in a metro neighborhood. A man is accused of trying to lure children into his van in West Omaha. Investigators are still trying to find the driver. According to deputies, the man in a white van pulled up to kids in the Pine Creek neighborhood near 162nd and Whitmore. Authorities say the man claimed to know the children's parents and then tried to get them inside. Parents and some of the children quickly reported what they saw and heard.
She called me and she was like, "Camilla, you need to be more careful. I don't even know if I'll let you go on a scooter ride because of what happened."
Well, deputies say they need tips to track that man down. If you know anything, you should call the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. Happening today, Reimagine Omaha will be holding a homelessness symposium. Reimagine's executive director calls the event an opportunity for community leaders to examine the realities of homelessness in our community. The agenda for the symposium is there on your screen. They're going to talk about myths and facts. Among those addressing the attendees, Mayor John Ewing. The symposium is set for 8:30 to 1 at MCC's South Campus. Here at the Safety Desk with Maria Cade, and chronic diseases are a leading cause of illness, disability, and death in the U.S. A new study is finding that the U.S. isn't making as much progress, though, as other countries, Maria.
Yeah, we want to tell you about this study, and they're finding that across all high-income Western countries, the U.S. has shown the worst performance in lowering the chances of dying from one of those chronic diseases. From 2010 to 2019, deaths from chronic diseases went down in most age groups in America, but they increased among adults ages 20 to 45. So among the 25 high-income Western countries in the study, Denmark saw the largest decline in deaths. Germany actually did only slightly better than the U.S., which again was the worst according to this study. So according to the researchers, some of the reasons for that widespread decline in deaths, they say could be tied to improvements in diagnosing and treating chronic diseases, but I guess according to this information, some more work needs to be done.
Yeah, for sure, especially from the U.S. All right, there's another study out talking about school-aged kids, and more kids are actually obese than underweight in the U.S.?
Yeah, this is a report coming from UNICEF. So researchers say that more kids are obese than underweight in all regions of the world, except for sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. So the highest rate of obesity we're seeing in some Pacific Island nations, Chile, here in the United States, and the United Arab Emirates. Researchers say in high-income countries, kids from poorer homes were more likely to be overweight, and they say that this is likely due to unhealthy diets, maybe not having enough access to healthy foods. But in low-income countries, it was actually the opposite. So the kids from the wealthier families who could afford more foods were actually more likely to be overweight.
That's interesting, isn't it? All right, Maria Cade at the Safety Desk this morning. Thank you, and thank you. We'll be right back. Well, the heat has definitely been the big weather story this week. I'm going to enjoy it because once it's gone, I don't know if we'll see 80s and 90s after this.
That's the thing. There you go. Live in the moment.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Embrace the 80s and 90s, and the cold's coming. It'll be here in the middle of winter. We just, as we get there, we want to enjoy a little fall, and let's talk about the way the forecast is looking here into the weekend. It's all about the heat. Got a beautiful sunrise out there this morning, but remember that sunlight lining right up with the east-west road, so you're driving right into it on your way into work this morning. Mostly sunny and summer-like today. Highs in the 90s Friday, Saturday. It gets close to 90 many other days, though. Increasing storm chances by Sunday afternoon, late afternoon into the evening. We'll touch on that here in just a little bit. Got a lot of 60s out there right now, so nothing too crazy to start off the day. A couple of 50s showing up in the valleys of the Luss Hills there. That will try to improve, and high clouds will move in from the west as we make our way through the course of the day. And overall, it's all about the muggy weather pairing up with the 80s today. Dew points hanging out in that muggy range pretty much all day long. First alert forecast shows that sunrise and how we're going from the 60s to the 80s today. Yesterday had a high of 84. I think we'll be there by 2 o'clock, and then climb into the mid and upper 80s for an afternoon high. Now tomorrow, the south winds pick up a little bit more, and that's going to reinforce the heat. South wind gusts up near 25 to 30, especially in the morning and early afternoon. May tail off a bit in the late afternoon and evening hours, but still I think are going to be noticeable. And the 10-day forecast shows, we talked about the heat that's on the way for the weekend. Still looks pretty hot on Sunday ahead of a storm chance that we have. Now, we could bump that high up a little bit once we learn a little bit more about the timing of these storms. The later the storms, the more opportunity for some heat. Right now, I think mid-afternoon storm development, 3-4 o'clock is possible. There's some storms still on the map by 6 and 7, and then some of those coasting through into the evening hours as well. Otherwise, you can see a lot of 80s and 90s over the next 5 days. Still holding on to that summer feel. We were worried about it being gone entirely with that cool stretch, but we haven't been to 90 degrees since August 20th. So, and it's been a while.
It had been too long for some, right? Can we go back to those storms? Because people see them. Should we be alarmed? Is there a chance of severe weather? Or?
Right now, no risk area being circled, but I think for the most part, I'm concerned about maybe one or two of these strengthening a little bit. Downpours and lightning, probably the biggest concern, but there will be some energy to work with. So it is something we're going to have to watch for Sunday. And overall, the rainfall potential isn't phenomenal, but Nebraska counties probably have a little better bet of getting rain than the Iowa counties, and anything in the greens, less than a quarter of an inch for most of us. Some of these higher totals may try to drift in here over the course of the next couple of days when we get some new model data. But even beyond that, Sunday may kick off a little bit of a busier pattern with more rain chances, and it could end up being wetter than average beyond that for another week, maybe week and a half. Warmer than average weather likely to win out too. So I still think we got a lot of 80s on the way for the next 10 days at least, maybe even 2 weeks. Even when we start to cool down, it still looks like we're pretty close to 80.
Totally rad.
Totally rad. All right.
You said get in on the 80s and 90s.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
Yes. I couldn't think of another 80s. That is very good. All right. You've also got some good news on that crash we've been following all morning.
I do. It's cleared on L. So we don't have to worry about that anymore if you're heading into that area right near 96th. You can even see as we look at the map how much the travel flow has improved in that area. So good news. You can use L and not be concerned about coming across that crash. However, there is another thing on L that I need to first alert you to, and it's a little further to the west. You can see how things are being impacted. Over the next month, you're going to notice varying lane restrictions on L between 50th and 70th, and it's pretty apparent here by the slowdowns westbound that we do have some restrictions that are in place as you're approaching 60th or so. So watch for that. That's definitely causing some issues. I'll give you an estimate on the speeds in this area, and you're looking at things definitely not up to where you would expect. About 10 to 15 miles per hour is what you've got for your estimated speeds through that area. So be ready for it to be slower as you go on westbound L around 60th. Some of our other areas that have flared up a fair bit over the last week or so, right around 680 and Dodge, slow on the ramp as you're trying to get to westbound Expressway. And then we do have a little bit of a delay on I-80 westbound approaching Giles. It's not as bad as we've seen on some of our recent mornings. That's good news. When we zoom things out, as Rusty mentioned, I'm going to keep an eye on how the sun glare could impact things. You can see how Dodge is flaring up right around 156th or so as you're going eastbound. Any of our eastbound drivers will have to manage that and work their way around it. So far, otherwise, we're doing pretty good. Hopefully we can hold on to this, because this is about the point the last couple of mornings where things have gone sideways on us. So let's not do that.
No, not today. It's going to be a good day. I can feel it.
Yes.
Jared, thank you. Well, happening today, a man accused in the murder of a Metro teen will learn his fate. Messiah Holly was shot near 18th and Spencer in November of 2023. 19-year-old Tyrese Coleman was found guilty on first-degree murder and weapons charges. Officers found Holly suffering from multiple gunshot wounds near 18th and Spencer. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Well, taking a bite out of the past, the new exhibit that's giving people a trip down memory lane. So when First Look 6 streaming returns. I think we're going to need a bigger boat or exhibit. Probably not. The new Jaws exhibition looks like it offers a shark-sized bite of everything Jaws related.
Yeah, the exhibit opened yesterday at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in LA. It features more than 200 artifacts from the film. Some of them have actually never been displayed to the public. Of course, the film is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, so special thing to check out.
No, that would be cool. I think of the music every time we talk about Jaws, but that would be cool. Can you believe it's been all that time?
No, 50 years, but it's a classic.
Yeah, my daughter loves sharks, but we're going to wait a long time.
Don't let her see that yet, because then she won't love the sharks. Yes.
No.
Is this a movie that you've actually seen, Jared?
I've seen little snippets of it. There's a shark involved.
Yes. You're right.
I wonder if, you know how when the anniversary they bring him back to the theater, I wonder if there's plans to do that.
I haven't seen any, but yeah, that makes sense.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
I mean, they remaster it and make it all, HD 4K maybe. So.
Oh, we're told they did that already 2 weeks ago. See, it was a good idea.
If the movie isn't animated, I haven't watched it recently. So yeah, I'm way out of the loop on that.
All right, well, good to know that they have good ideas. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to get ready for our update in the Today Show. You can watch it here on streaming or over the air. We hope you have a great day.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Thursday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole. Let's get right to First Alert 6 traffic with Jared, who's telling us about some traffic troubles on L Street this morning.
Yeah, we've had a couple of different issues. We have now cleared the crash on L near 96th. In case you missed that initial notification of that, we do have our streaming newscast you should tune into at 7 o'clock. But we also are still seeing issues here on L as you're right around 60th. We have construction in this area with varying lane restrictions for the next month. Right now it's impacting westbound travel near 60th on L. So watch for that. That's one area where we are having some struggles. Also watch for maybe some sun glare. We're seeing some big slowdown showing up on Dodge about 168th back toward 192nd early this morning.
Thanks, Jarrett. Let's talk about where we're heading with the forecast here over the course of the next several days. It does look like a very warm day on the way today. You can see where the numbers are headed. Mid-60s turn into some upper 80s later on this afternoon. It's a little humid out there right now. It'll get worse as we go through the course of the day. And you can see we climbed to 92 for the high on Friday, 94 on Saturday. Still looking hot and humid for that Husker game day forecast. And we'll climb to 89 on Sunday. Overall, the best chance for showers and thunderstorms looks like it's going to be on Sunday, mid to late afternoon through the evening hours. Hopefully we can condense that time frame a little bit, but the later the storms, the more warmth we're going to be. Could have a third day in the 90s right there on Sunday. By Monday and Tuesday, those two numbers starting to trend up a little bit too, and no sign of anything cooler until towards the end of next week. So summer is back and it's hanging on for a little while. Cerise? All
right. Thank you. To breaking news this morning, one person's in the hospital after an early morning crash. Jarrett was just talking about this. It happened near 96 and L around 5:45. Our photographer witnessed two cars being towed away from the scene. Right now, it's unclear what led up to the crash as well as the extent of those injured. We'll update you on this situation on air and online as soon as we learn more information. It is now 7:28 and we are back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.